Hi, I'm Shantae Jennings, and we are going to talk about questions to ask yourself to validate your business idea. I work with women that are over 50 and want to launch and grow businesses. So I get a lot of questions about, the business idea. So I'm going to go over a couple of questions you can ask yourself and walk through it with you so you can get a better idea of if that idea is worth anything. And when I say worth anything, I mean, is it viable? Will you get paying clients for it? So let's get started. Okay, I have this broken down into three areas: the problem, the skill set that you're going to have to build this idea, and the reality check you're going to have to take. And before I go further with the problem, I'm going to talk about what people really mean by solving a problem. I get a lot of kickback and pushback with, oh, yeah, hi, Kay. I am really trying to jump headfirst into doing lives. So, yeah, but thank you for asking. Um, really figuring out what your urgent problem is really key to the market validation part. When we start to think about a business, yeah, I do teach women that you can monetize your existing skill set, but we have to figure out what skill set is really solving a problem. Because most of us, we've been around, we've got years of experience, lots of expertise, but we have to figure out how to package it in a way that it will solve a problem that people will pay for. Because a lot of things we know how to do, there's nobody going to pay for it. But there's also quite a few that people will pull out the card for, absolutely pull out the card for. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. First of all, we're not selling any solution until we know that there's a problem that people care about. One, is this a painkiller or a vitamin? You probably heard that before. Think about your own experience with painkillers and vitamins. Vitamins, oh, I think I need to take some more collagen for myself, or I just had surgery. I'm gonna need that codeine and whatever else the doctor gives me right away. Big difference between want and need. We need to know that when we figure out our business idea, when people approach it, it cannot be a vitamin because that's not going to get you paid. We want to focus on painkillers. Does my solution have the potential to solve my client's problems immediately? Which would be something like, I don't know, a migraine or something. Is it going to pop it off right away? Or is it something that they've got to take and they've got to like wear a patch for a while before that the migraine, and they're going to have to suffer? That's not a good analogy, but anyway. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That saying, I was just thinking it wasn't a good comparison, but absolutely the painkiller and the vitamin, we have to think of our business ideas that way. So if you've got your business idea, let me come up with an example so we can use this example all throughout this exercise. Maybe, and then sometimes it's the audience. Maybe you think you're an amazing event planner, like your family calls you all the time to plan parties. You're at work, you're always the person they go to, and you think that's your go-to skill set. You're gonna, monetize that. When you do some investigation, you may find that the skill sets that help with event planning are more of a painkiller than actual event planning is, more of a vitamin, after you do some digging and some research. The same thing goes with any of the other examples, and we'll walk through a couple of different ones as we go through this, but determine if your skill set is a painkiller or a vitamin. Off the top of my head, there's a very good example, and it can go both ways because if I'm 100 pounds overweight, weight loss is a painkiller. If I'm 10 pounds overweight and I just want to go to a wedding and I want to lose weight, it's pretty much a vitamin. So who's going to care more about that $2,000 program you have? It would probably depend on how the person sees that problem. Now, if they really have to get that weight off because they need some surgery or some other serious issue, they're probably going to be more intense about it. Maybe not so for the person. "Ah, I can just fast and knock that last 10 pounds off." So it's really a vitamin for them. So start to remember painkiller, vitamin when it comes to our solutions and our audience too. Because our audience, this is all about our audience, our client. How do they see it? Because we may see it as a painkiller, but they may still see it as a vitamin, depending on what their perspective is. And once you've established that, now you need to go have three strangers show some actual willingness to pay. And why I focus on strangers is because, I mean, let's face it, our family members, they love us. They don't, they're not going to hurt our feelings. They're going to go along. They want to encourage us. Same thing with our friends. They're like, "Oh yeah, girl, I'll get that weight loss program. Yeah, I need to lose a couple of pounds." And then when you say, "Well, yeah, actually it's a weight loss retreat and we're going to go to Sedona and we're going to run hills and 5-mile runs and you're going to live on celery sticks," they're going to be like, "Yeah, no, I don't think so." Because it's not really a priority for them. Yeah, you need the real clients, not family, because asking the wrong people can destroy your whole program. You'll waste all this effort thinking, "Oh, I've got a solution," because I asked my cousin Bobo and my Aunt Sue, but then when I go out to ask the strangers, they're like, $500 for what? And you're like, "But my relatives, my friend said," yeah, three strangers, three strangers. And okay, we've got painkiller, vitamin. We've already talked to three strangers about this and they said yes. So now what's the next step for you? You're going to start to go see what the market is doing. And not because you're going to base your pricing on it or anything, but is anybody already paying for this? So we know people pay for event planning and we know people pay for weight loss, but how? What's the situation around that? What type of clients are they? Are they doing something? You're not going to invent a new category around weight loss. You're not going to invent a new category around event planning. You want to see what already works. What's that saying? Don't reinvent the wheel. See what works. See what the competitors are doing to make money. Like, because if there's competitors, that's going to be a good sign. If there's none, that's not usually a good sign. So look for the competitors, see what they're doing, and understand that, okay, the competitors for the market I plan to focus on, their pricing, maybe we're talking about weight loss. Maybe they price their like challenges at $50. Well, I see some over here that have something more intense, but I don't know what's involved. But that seems okay. I could do a challenge for that. And then I could have one-on-one or something. But are they already paying for this? Or are you coming up with some idea that you see nobody paying anything? Everybody's doing it for free. Well, you might want to rethink, how are you going to package this problem? And is it really a problem, a painkiller problem, or maybe it's a vitamin problem? The next thing you're going to focus on is asking yourself, can I identify exactly who has this problem and wants to solve it in 10 to 15 seconds? And I put the time constraints on it because usually when you can say that, "Hey, I help women over 50 launch and start launch and grow a business within 90 days," that's pretty straightforward, and it's in 10 to 15 minutes, 10 minutes, seconds. But when we start to kind of like, "Well, I can help women that want to, have events, and I just help all women." And then I have to help you break it down. That's going to take longer than 10 seconds because it's going to take longer for you to think about it. And in the end, you are not clear on your audience. So the audience doesn't feel like, they're not going to feel like they know what you're talking about. "Oh, I'm not her audience. Yeah, she just said women. Yeah." Also, you need to get real clarity around who your client is, because the clearer you become around who that person is, the clearer you're going to be able to learn to use her language. You're going to learn to figure out like what she cares about, what her desires are, all of that. So being super clear about her, then you know more about her. And women is not a niche. That is so general. That's the whole half of the humans on the planet. No, we want to go with, if your audience is women, it's women a specific age. And if we're talking weight loss, there's so many niches in that. There's, women under 30, women that have just had children, women that are postmenopausal, women over a certain age, women that are in athletics, all these different niches you can focus on. So being able to figure out that group of women that you want to work with narrows that down and makes it a clear statement that you, in your head, I work with this type of client. So when you meet that type of client, you know her when you see her, and you can identify that and communicate it to other people so they can send you that type of person. So that was the urgent problem section. Next, we're going to talk about the skill set, which is the best part, because I feel like it revolves around your skill set. But you knowing your skill set and being able to take advantage of all the years of experience that you have, because most women over 50, they have megadocious years of experience. Oh, I see a question. Can vitamin also be a good business? Absolutely. To people that are very, like, they don't have any vitamins, or maybe that's their only option. They can't take all these hardcore things. Maybe they have to be on the proactive side for their bodies, because it just takes you digging into your market. I use, vitamin, because for most of us, we can get our nutrition from food. Some people cannot do that. So they would need additional supplements, and that could be an audience right there. A lot of people just want to lose vanity weight, and that can be a good business, absolutely, because but you do have to know how much they desire it, because a lot of people, their vanity that drives them more than their health does. Honestly, I feel like most people, the vanity is up front. Even people that are healthy, their health is jeopardized. It's the vanity up front. I admit for myself, I'm thinking of my, I need to get my hot body back. That's what I'm thinking of first. And then, I know along with that, I will get healthier, but I'm already healthy, but I don't have the body I want. So how can I get that and along with it get healthy? So yeah, vanity absolutely can make you money, but you must know that specific problem and how your audience sees it, because the planet, there's an abundance of people that technically should be seeking out weight loss solutions, but there's a small, narrow group that's actually actively doing something about that. So, yeah. So let's talk about our skill sets. We ask the questions, especially a woman that has a lot of skills. You've acquired skills for these jobs you worked. You've acquired skills volunteering, raising families, creating all these different opportunities for yourself. And these are skills that you can use. I get so many people that say, I don't really know how to do anything special. You've been living on this planet and not living under a rock. You have some skill sets that can be monetized. I think we undersell ourselves, and just, as women sometimes in this society, we just are taught to be modest, but we have so much going for us. We have these skill sets that have taken us through years. So let's figure out how to utilize those skills that we already have. Because I meet a lot of people that are like, yeah, I want to start a business. And what do you think about this? I'm like, do you know how to do that? No, but I just feel like I'm going to teach myself. But you know how long that's going to take to teach yourself something? And on top of that, you won't be confident at it. You'll be thinking, oh my God, but use the skills you have. That's why I want you to go find the problem that you can solve with your existing skills, and find the people that have that problem and take it seriously enough to invest to solve it. Like, don't focus on trying to learn things unless it's things along with your existing that's going to make for a better, bigger business. But don't try and build an absolutely new business on absolutely new skills. I think you're setting yourself up for failure when you try that. Yes. Next question. Do I have social proof that I can deploy? And before you think, no, I don't, yes, you do. When I started my business years ago, I thought that at first too. I'm like, I don't have any experience running this business. And I'm like, oh, but I have megadocious experience doing those different skill sets. And I have proof. I have evaluations, I have resumes, I have all these different things, accolades or whatever at work that proves that I did those things. So let me go compile all that stuff, compile it, and look at what and take out and start to sift through it. And you'll need to do that too because you have years of experience. You want to pull all that stuff together and gather your social proof. And most of us have like networks that will provide that social proof as well. Can you point to your 20 plus years of corporate results, past projects you worked on, life experiences, even life experiences and volunteer work? I worked with a client that most of her time was volunteer at different entities in her town. She was just volunteering and on all these boards and stuff, even besides the work time she had. 'Cause she was worried that, oh, I only have like limited work in the workforce, but she had all this volunteer time. I'm like, the things you did volunteer, people were getting paid for that. Those are all experiences that matter and can solve a problem. So utilizing your skills, will those skills that you have, can they be utilized for a business? Do you have some social proof? And does your existing network contain your first 10 clients? And you may be thinking, no, but I challenge you to, give that some thought because most of the time we know someone that can benefit from a problem that we solve. And if the person directly doesn't, they absolutely know someone else. So it's going to be really important for you to get to the point where you can communicate who your client is in that 10 to 15 seconds. So whenever you're talking to your network, you can say that, hey, I'm starting a new business. I work with women over 50 that, need to lose a certain amount of weight, but they can't really exercise much and they're doing whatever. If you have any people that are, in that situation, I'd love to show them my whatever. That can happen really clean and smoothly, and people will send you people. The thing is, you have to give them all the information they need because people want to help you, but they're lazy too. I mean, we're all lazy like that. You give me a little blurb to say to people or look through my network to help you, I will absolutely help you. And most people do, and they will in your network. But you have to know what the problem is and who you're going to help so you can tell that to your network. And I'm sure when it comes to weight loss, I'm sure everybody knows somebody in their network that they can help. And although that's a sensitive subject, we want to be, delicate. Oh, you don't? Oh, I'm sorry, Kay. You don't know what you would do for a business yet? Have you had a chance to think about like your skill sets, kind of brainstorm? We do have a webinar later at 7. If you'd like the link, just let me know in the comments. I can send you the link. We're doing a workshop later today where we just show people how to kind of brainstorm through their skills and figure out what might be a good fit for a business idea. And we kind of do it, together, and I show you some ideas of how to research and how to use the existing tools and forums to figure out what people see as a problem when it comes to your skills. So if you're interested in that, we're going to be doing that at 7 Eastern later tonight. Going through your network, you're going to oh yeah, oh okay, we're all on our journey. I tell you. But there's a difference. How do people see? Let people tell you how they see their problem. Because here's the thing. We know how we see. If we're an expert in something, we've done something a long time. We know technically, this needs to go A, B, and C. It should be this way because we know and we've done it. But that person that has that problem, they may be seeing it differently. I remember when I was doing that with my clients, I'd be like, hey, all you need is your marketing funnel to do. You need your email marketing tool. You need this, you need that. People didn't want to hear that. They were like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check back with you. But when I say, how we need to set up your system so you can make more money. Then their ears perked up. And I was still doing the same thing. You need to communicate to them in the language that they use. Yes, they use. So when it comes to weight loss, I mean, you can say, oh, get healthy. We all want to be healthy, but what do we want to be first? What are their like hidden desires? Most women, well, I'm not going to say most women because then I don't want to get attacked. But a lot of women want to feel attractive to themselves, or they want to get back to something that they had. I remember when I had a child, my first one, I didn't get super big, but I was like, bam, I want that weight down now before I even go back to work. So I did whatever it took and whatever program. I tried so many different programs. And you know what? They all worked because I really wanted them to work. So that's part of it. What is the desire on the person, your audience? How do they see their desires? Who do they want to become when that problem's solved? You have to be able to communicate that to them, but you also have to go find out how they feel about it, which is interviews, questions, doing a little bit of lurking, but mostly just communicating with people, asking them the questions, asking them the direct questions. And you can ask indirect questions because when I was asking questions about business, I didn't want people to feel like I was selling something to them. So I would just ask them, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change in your business right now? And they would say, I would have more clients and make more money. Or they would say, oh, I would love to do, yeah, language does matter a lot. Ty, thank you. It does matter because how we communicate as the person doing the business is from the expert side of it. But the client is thinking from their heart. They're thinking, I want this business to work because I want to transition. I want to move away from my job and be able to have more time with my kids or be able to travel or just have this freedom. So you need to be able to communicate in the language that they're using when they think about themselves in that desired state that they want, so that they understand and they feel like, oh, she understands me. She knows what I want. And the same thing with the weight loss, rather than, oh, yeah, we're going to get healthier and we're going to, you have more, nutrition. And you're like, are you feeling like a frump? Do you want your sexy body back? Watch the women sign up and say, okay, what's your free thing? Let me see. Let me talk about it. Because there's people that have that language. That's their desired state. So don't be afraid to find out what people's desired state is and speak to it, because you'll never find it if you don't. It's like when I go to Italy, if I'm speaking Spanish, they're going to be like, oh, okay. But if I go there, even stumbling over Italian, they're going to understand me. So that's our job. Go communicate, find the language that our target audience is using. So I rant wasn't intended about that. I was just getting off point with the network. Using your network you could actually use your network to do some of that research first if you want to start with them. If I really think you'll be able to find your first 10 clients there. But if you're shy or something, maybe go for 3 and call it research, so that you feel like, oh, I'm not pressured. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kay. Um, I don't want you to feel pressured, because we're not selling. We're in intel mode. We're just seeking out intel. We want to find out, hey, I'm coming up with a weight loss program. It's focused for women over 50. And I was wondering if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change about what you're currently doing? And then they're going to tell you in their own language, and you can make notes. Okay. So you say you would love to change your body without surgery. How would you be willing? How do you think you'd be okay doing that? What kind of things would you be willing to do? And just go on and get all the intel you need. The same thing with, any other business idea. Ask the questions, layer the questions. When they answer one, just like, okay, well, why do you think that? Because the point is to get at their emotional, why do they really want to do these things? Because that's how you find out what people really want. So, okay, we went over pillar 1, problem. We went over pillar 2, skill set. Now we figured out this problem. We figured out the skill set we're going to use. Now we have to do the reality check, which is kind of the part that we struggle with in general a bit. So, what is going to be your hourly rate? And if anybody knows me, you know I don't focus on hourly rate once we get started in, building out your program. But at the beginning, you need to have an hourly rate because you need to figure out what's your magic number? What's the number that you need to get to the point where you want to get? And I'm not talking about your pie in the sky. I'm talking about for things to change. Most people have a basic Betty number that if I get to this, then I can say bye-bye to this other situation, that number. And we need to know if you've got a program and your hourly rate, like say you got a $2,000 program, but the way you're managing it, it ends up being $20 an hour or less. You're like, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So you have to figure out what your effective hourly rate is going to be. And then you're going to have to step back a bit when you figure out your program. Okay, is this going to be a smaller program where I'm very hands off? I have like maybe one coach session, some recorded lessons, and some digital documents for a low price thing. And I just need to build volume by having ads and all this other stuff. Or you're going to work one on one and have more of a premium side so you work longer with people, but you have it priced that way for value, the outcomes that they're going to have. And there's different ways. There's all types of offers. I'm not going to go into that this week. But the point is, when you consider marketing and admin and deliverables, how much you make per hour starts to shrink and shrink and shrink, no matter what the number may seem like at first. Because in the end, you do have to pay yourself. You're going to have all these other things, bills or expenses, but you're going to have to pay yourself at some point, because isn't that the whole point? And is this thing you're going to do going to be worth your time? I had somebody I worked with on a call, and we kind of did the numbers for what she thought for the business idea, because when we did research, people weren't paying much for that. And there wasn't really a logical way to expand it. So the price point was what it was. And it wasn't enough for her to make a difference. So she had to kind of step back and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to have to figure out some other thing to do. I've got other skill sets, but I wanted to do that one. But unfortunately, the things that we actually like, sometimes they end up being the things that aren't really monetarily going to take us over the top. So we may have to supplement it with one of these skills that we're just fantastic at, and there's high need for it or demand for it. So I did that at first a lot. I continue to do that. There's things I'm really good at that pay well, and then there's the thing that I really wanted to do that I had to figure out how to make that pay better. But notice I didn't say you had to give up any of that. If you can answer the majority of these questions well, you've got something going. If most of these are a nay or I don't know, yes, I'm going to be live every week. I have another group that I'm going to be live in there, but I'm going to do my office hours here every week on Wednesday. And then my other group will be on Tuesday. So yeah, I'll be going live every week. Yep. And it's going to be fun. I love helping and answering questions, which we're going to have Q&A after, but I get so many questions about how to figure out, like they come with the idea and then I'm like, I feel like I'm, the bearer of bad news because they haven't quite thought it out. But when they come to me and we go through it, it's a crash and burn idea. And I'm like, wah, that's not going to make you money. I mean, they recover because none of this stuff is really personal, but sometimes it is. You spend time, your creative energy coming up with something, and then somebody tells you, okay, but that's not going to make you a lot of money. And they're like, okay, let's go backtrack. So that I want you to not have to do that. I want us to get a good idea of what you want. And then you can come over. If you want to come over to Launch Accelerator, we do this every week. But here, I'm going to show you whatever you need to figure out your business idea and to get to the point where I know this is a viable, it's going to make me money. And I have no doubt about it, because you can get there. Asking yourself these questions, doing the research, you will be there. So the other question, we talked about effective hourly rate. The next thing you got to ask is the delivery model sustainable for your energy levels? I had to find that out the hard way. I started out doing lots of done for you for people, and I was like, oh, I'll just take all their stuff, and because I can get out of my job that much quicker. Oh yeah, I can do that. And I would take bigger and bigger projects. I'm like, first I just started, I'm just set up your operations. And I've got 5 companies that can set up their operations, and that's fine. And then I got some bigger projects, and I was like, whew, okay, yeah, the money is good, but I'm tired. This is a lot. And then I start thinking, yeah, I'm really good. I'm getting faster, but this is not measuring up, because I'm at some point, your energy levels need to be in sync, and my energy levels were totally off with those projects. I was like barely, like I would be drained, but I'd have to keep going. And I understood that my energy levels for creative thought and important things is early in the morning. So I would be doing all this client work early in the morning before I went to work. And I was like, this isn't going to be sustainable. So I had to figure out what delivery model would be sustainable for you and your energy needs, because there's lots of different formats you can have. You can have like the memberships where you just have like digital products and people you push out some recordings every month, or you could have workshop style because you like workshop, like I like workshop live style. So my membership is mostly workshop live and some other things. But or you could have something where you do one-on-one. A lot of people start one-on-one because that's the most financially, you get to your money goal quicker with one-on-one because you can charge more. But coaching calls, if you've got 10 people and they all got different days, you may end up like 3 days a week on calls, all 6 hours. And then if you have a job and you got 6 hours, 3 calls in the morning before you go to work, and 3 calls after, and then you got some on the weekends. So that might end up like being a drain for you. And sure, we do have to, put in the work at the beginning, but this all needs to be sustainable. And if your delivery model, you commit to a delivery model that you can't sustain, that's something you need to kind of map out at the beginning. Do you want to be doing Zoom calls 6 hours a day, or do you prefer like audits and done for you? I actually was good at done for you, but I prefer Zoom calls because, as you can see, I like to talk, but I also like to brainstorm, and I like to do things on screen, let people ask me questions and I answer. So that's where my energy levels go longer. Done for you, I can be like in a little window of time in a zone and knock it out. But after that's it for that. So that's your job to ask yourself, is the delivery model that you're currently thinking about, are you thinking about being a coach where you're just going to be on a call? If, like, say you're a weight loss coach and you're always on screen helping people walk through exercises or talking about their foods, or just coaching in general, but you actually have to be talking to people and interacting with them. Some people, that's draining. It is. And whether it's on screen or in person, some people that's too much for them. So consider that when you start thinking about your business model. Your delivery model must be sustainable, but it must also be acceptable to the clients. Like, you can say membership is easy and hands off, and then your people are like, I'm not interested in that. I want one-on-one. Then you got to make some decisions there. So doing the research, you're going to find out quickly what your target audience prefers, what things they respond to, where you see them, where you find them all the time. What are those areas? So think about it. Spend some time. What are you currently doing? Even if you haven't had an idea, you don't have your idea yet, but you're thinking about it. If you're a coach, what type of coach are you going to be? Pretty much, doing virtual calls or maybe in-person calls. Or if you're going to have digital products, are you just going to make these digital products and sell them, put them in a place for people to buy them? Are you going to have a hybrid of those type of things? Are you going to have things that are just like real live in-person events? Or are you going to have a mixture of those? Whatever your combination or whatever type model you're going to use, Think about that. Will you be able to sustain it? And think about it in terms of not like the one client you have now. Think about it when you got a full table of clients, maybe 10, 12, 15 a month that you're working with. What's that going to feel like? Because you can get to that point pretty easily if you're intentional and strategic and do the legwork on the front. You may find that that comes a little faster than you think it will. Next, we're going to talk about the path to 5K, because that's kind of a general number that I came up with over the years. Most people can map out. Everybody loves to hear six figures, but most people don't need that much to get out of, if they want to leave their job, they don't need that much to leave their job. They don't need that much to get to the point where if they want the money for more travel, they'll be able to travel a lot more if they get to 5K a month. So we use that kind of as a baseline. But you want to be able to map out exactly how many units you're going to need to hit that 5K month, especially when it comes to products. Think about it, because I've had people approach me and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to sell something for $100. You know how many people you got to have for $100 a month? 50 new people every month to get to 5,000, and you selling it at $100 a month. Let's think a little outside of that and think, okay, how can I make this easier? $5,000 a month. I could have 2 clients for $2,500. I could have 5 clients for $1,000. Done. Now, sure, you're going to need the same amount of work, marketing, and sales for all 3 of them. Actually, you'll probably need a bit more sales for the $100 ones than you will. I promise you. That's another conversation too. But you'll have to do more for the $100 clients than you will for the $5,000 one. You just have to be serious and on point with your outcomes. That's where you sell your $5,000. The outcomes. What is your client's outcome going to be, and how do you get them there? So mapping out. Can you today map out your path to 5K? Do you have any idea of what that's going to be like? Ty's asking, how do you recommend doing the research for beginners? Okay, there's a couple of places to do. I'm old school. I did research before AI. So I went to forums. I was Answer the Public, Reddit. I was going to Facebook groups to look for the type of people that I was looking for. And I pretty much just looked there and looked at the questions they asked, especially in Reddit. You can just come up with some questions and put them in their search, and all the people that ask similar questions will show up. The secret sauce is in the responses and the other people asking questions, because you'll have one question and it's like, what weight loss product works the best for you? And people will start to say fasting, or, whatever things they do, whatever things they're doing. And then other people will be like, well, what are some alternatives to doing that? And then what have you worked with coaches, and what other experiences have you had? Those are going to be your intel. I'm telling you, you don't even have to put your own question. You can just go in and search questions and look at the responses and just gather intel there. Start some type of spreadsheet with the questions that you found. Look to see if there's any trends. And the same thing with the groups. If you think find out where your audience is for sure. If based on the audience, maybe they're in Facebook groups, maybe they're on Twitter, maybe they're in, wherever they are in communities. Go to those communities, join, be quiet, just look and observe. Look at if the community is hosting trainings, what trainings they host, who gets excited about, which ones get the most head count. Like if they're having some type of webinar about weight loss or some weight loss challenge, how many people signed up for it? You're like, wow, what are they saying in the comments? Those are things that are going to be intel for you. You get to find out all the questions and doubts and issues people have, because they're going to say that in that. They're going, oh, so excited to be starting the fasting challenge. And the other people like, I wish I could fast. I can't fast, whatever. All intel for you. Go to those sites. And those are all sites. I mean, you can use AI. I would just use AI to figure out is my idea. Like once I come up with my idea, go search AI to figure out, hey, you're an expert business analyst. Help me figure out, is this business idea viable? And if not, what's an alternative? That's the kind of questions I would be asking AI. I wouldn't be asking them any of this other anyway. So Reddit, Answer the Public, Quora, that's another good one where you ask questions or search questions to see what people are. They've got categories. I think they've got like, like business, health, wellness, weight loss, all those different, and then they have subcategories. So go start there first. I guarantee you'll get some type of information for your audience or for what your audience is going through and what they consider to be problems, because that's your main thing. Think about the skill sets you have, like just go with a brief outline of some skills you have and what you think you might want to do, and then go search it out in Quora and Reddit first and see what they say. Start a folder in Google Drive. I like the idea of hanging out. Kay says, I like the idea of hanging out in groups to get info. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like a lurker. I don't go in. See, people think I'm telling them to go in and start selling stuff. I don't say anything to anybody except now I take that back. When I attended webinars, some of the webinars, the people are just teaching what they know, the subject. And then the people in the comments or in the chat are so confused. So I would be like, this is making me crazy. I would just go answer, because it would be a business webinar and the people would be like, she's talking about, okay, set your lead magnet up, whatever, whatever. And they'd be like, what's a lead magnet? I'm like, oh boy. So I just go in there, and a lead magnet is something that you use to give to the audience in exchange for your email. And then I'd answer questions like that. But I didn't go in anybody's groups doing that. I don't go in anybody's group doing anything but looking and listening and seeing what the tone of the group is, seeing what events that groups host that gets the most responses. That's your job, to research and hang out in those groups. Without, you can just like, oh, I'm just here looking at how, feeling the vibe and stuff. That's all you have to do, because you can get a lot of information from. I got so much information just hanging out in those groups. Go in twice a week, check in, kind of say hello to everybody. I always introduce myself in the group, what I do, how I, whatever. But that was it. I wasn't in there trying to pitch and do all these other obnoxious things. I just got my intel and then rolled out. So it can be super simple, even for people that are shy or, introverted. You don't have to, do a lot of talking yet. Right now, you're just in research mode, especially if you aren't sure about your business idea. So let me revisit that path to 5K, because I do get a lot of pushback, not because of the number, but because they think it's so much easier to sell 50 people at $100 versus 2 people at 2,500. It is not. I promise you, it is not. First of all, low ticket things, if you have a business that you really want people to be successful in, lower ticket usually means the person's they're just kind of feeling their way in, and they want something easy that they can just kind of consume at their leisure and look at. Like, you'll have something like for $100, maybe some type of mini series of videos that somebody watches about, not lose weight over Christmas holidays, and you'll have a video, do this for the next 30 days, and you'll have a video you might have like showing them how to set their pantry up, showing them what to do when the holiday meals roll around, and some other stuff. You might have that for $100, and you might even have some kind of exercise program that doesn't require a lot of exercise, maybe some steps in how to clean the house strategically or something, I don't know. But you could have that for $100. Those people may not even log in, but they'll spend $100. But you know how much marketing and push and blah, blah, blah you got to do for that? More. And then you got to deal with people wanting a refund back from that. I never get that when it's over $1,000. It's only when it's $27 or $100, or actually not even 100. It's usually lower than that. But it's really hard. Oh, I take that back. It's not hard. It's challenging and it takes way more work to sell those in volume than it does to have conversations with 5 women and get them to pay $1,000 for your product. You can have 5 conversations. You can have 20 conversations a month, and 5 of those women are going to sign up for your program. Every month, this be strategic, have 20 to 25 conversations and get those women for that $1,000 program. And I'm not even just talking about weight loss. I'm talking about whatever you have that you can promise a great outcome. So it does not have to be, we don't want it to be so challenging and difficult that we don't have time to do any of this. Keep in mind, this is on limited time. I started my business with like 5 hours a week to work on it, expand it slowly. You should be able to do this in 5 hours a week. And that's 5 hours aside from your job and your family commitments and all the other stuff. Again, if you're interested, you can come over to Launch Accelerator. We have workshops and I'll show you a framework to get everything done. But I'm also going to show you here. So by the time we're finished over this week, that's a big commitment. Over this month into next year, you'll be able to figure out how to start and grow your business here if you want. If you want some support, you can come over there, but you'll still have all the tools you need here. That's what I want. That's my promise to you. Okay, so we've moved on. You've asked yourself what that path to 5K is going to be. Now we got a couple of kind of technology and questions. Can I validate this without a website? Because everybody keeps telling me, oh, I got my person working on a website. It's going to cost me $2,000 and it's going to cost 6 months and all this other stuff. I'm like, can I tell you, I started my business and got clients within 3 months without a website. I just had a LinkedIn account and I talked to people. That was it. So if you can't validate this without a website, you might need to think again. Can I sell this with a PDF? Can I have a stand store? Can I have a link that people just go to and I share a link in my Google Drive? Because you don't need that fancy schmancy website and the fancy you don't, to validate this offer. And if you think you do, you're just procrastinating like the rest of us did. So I want you to go out, create your offer. Well, after you do answer these questions, and just make it with a PDF and a link. Because we all know if you're a coach, all you need is a Google Meet or Zoom and a Stripe account to get your coaching started. Because it's all going to come out of your calendar and your Google or Zoom. And the other thing you have to think seriously about, am I willing to market myself digitally? Because that's where the quick money comes. Well, I don't even want to say quick money. That's where the real money comes, because as long as you're just going to do things in person and local, there's lots of money there. But think about how many people you have to come in contact with individually. Whereas if you can market yourself digitally, like a channel or on these social platforms, if you're willing to do that, the money's there for you. If you are not, service done for you and coaching require you to be the face of the brand. So if you're not interested in that, you need to get interested in that or consider something else as being monetized, because I was not comfortable with that at first. But guess what? I wanted this more than anything. I was like, I am going to do whatever it takes, except stuff that's illegal, of course. But I was willing to do whatever it takes. And if it took me learning how to speak better, getting in front of cameras, stumbling and stuttering and being nervous and getting my point across. I've done lots of workshops where I'm like, and then I calm myself down and then I talk about what I know. And that can be you too. That's what people care about. They want someone to connect with. They want someone that they can relate to. But most of all, they want someone that offers them valuable information. That's what they want. So you have to get comfortable with that, because we are the face of our brands. You do done for you service. You do coaching. You're Coach Susie Q. You're Coach Ty. You're Coach K. They want to talk to you. They're signing up to talk to you. Not to be, you're muted out screen and you got a cute avatar. They're not signing up for that. So now, does anybody have questions about these questions? Because I really believe when you ask yourself these questions and you go through these, you will have a clear idea of that your business is viable, your business idea is viable, or you'll have one that I need to step back and think and think about some things before I go come back to these questions. Or if there are any questions in particular that you maybe want to see me kind of like expand on. Off the top of my head, I feel like the skills can be a challenge for people. But like I said, we do have a workshop where we kind of work through that. And probably in January, I will bring the workshop here and it'll make it a lot simpler for you to be able to walk through your list of skills because we kind of take it a bit at a time. And you pull out all the things, you kind of make a list of the things you do and what you've done in your past, and I kind of give you some prompts to help you get going with that. So that's usually a little bit of a sticking point for people. And then the hourly rate too, that's kind of a lot of times that's a challenge because people tend to think about the employee mindset with the hourly rate stuff. That we take that off the table. We're thinking in terms of your offer, that you've got to market it, that you've got to perform admin for it, that you've got to deliver it, and that you've got to make some money off of it because you're going to have some expenses that you've got to cover that overhead, and then there's supposed to be some profit for you. So we've got to consider that with the number. So we will have to think about when you choose those numbers, are you covering? Is it making it worth your while? Is it something that's going to make it worth your while? And that kind of helps you think about the offer, that the type of service you're going to offer too, or if it's going to be coaching, if it's going to be some other thing. So once you've done that, you should be able to create like a one-page description of your service or your coaching and send it to 10 people that you know. Maybe in your network, people you've met recently. Remember, not family. And you can, use an example. I'm launching this coaching program this next month. Does this address a problem you're currently facing? And is the price point within your budget? There's no pitching. There's just asking questions. And then people can say, that sounds interesting, but yeah, that's not in my budget. And then you can go from there. Collect enough responses before you and be don't try to control, like don't hold back on your audience. When you put it out, just put it out to people that you think might be a fit. They don't have to be, they're just in your network. So you're trying to figure out who would fit the profile and then go from there. So those are my questions. Now I'd like to take a Q&A if there's anybody with any questions. So if we don't have any questions, I think that is the end. And I thank you, Kay. I thank you, Ty, for coming. Remember, if you're interested in learning more about having a business and just finding your business idea, we're going to have a workshop at 7:00. So you're welcome to attend it. Ask me, leave a comment, and I will send you the link, or at least I will put the link inside of the comments if you're interested. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for coming.